Alright guys, last month I went to Heroes Con, and at Heroes Con I found a whole bunch of great deals, and there was a lot of vendors, and they're selling softcover trade paperbacks for $1, and they had hardbacks for $5. And there's this book that I've been hearing about since it came out in 2007 is when it started, and it's a series of mini-series, and it's got a beginning, middle, and end and everything like that. So what would happen is that over the years I would run into issues that I would pick up on the cheap. We're talking about Locke Key by Joe Hill and Gabriel Rodriguez. Okay, so I would pick up these books and figure, hey man, I'll get around to reading them and stuff. So here we are, almost 8 years later since I started hearing about the book, and this thing has won Eisner Awards. It's got a really big time fan following. It's been optioned for movies and TVs. They actually made a pilot that got turned down, and I figured I'd always have time to turn around and eventually read this. Didn't realize how much time had gone by. So I get 3 of the volumes out of the 6, okay, at Heroes Con. Oh, here's some more. Yeah, and way with DC and Marvel's been for the last couple years and stuff. DC 52 about killed me. Marvel now, I don't know when the last time was I actually bought a Marvel book, and the few that I flipped through and stuff I either got rid of or I just walked away shaking my head. And this is one of those books that'll rejuvenate the hobby for you, real hook in the hobby. This is written by Joe Hill, who is the son of Stephen King, but this is all him, man. I mean, it's not even fair to even mention Stephen King in my eyes for what this man has accomplished here. The volumes that I got was Volume 1 in softcover, Volume 5 in hardcover Clockworks, and Locke Key Volume 6 in hardcover also. Alright, and I did a bad thing, okay? I jumped in there and I read Volume 1. And I'm not going to lie, I could tell what he was doing. It was the actual first issue. This isn't a series of miniseries. There were 6 miniseries, I think, or something like that, and he wrote them in acts, okay? You go 2, 4, 6, and, the first 2 volumes is one act, the middle 3 volumes are another act, and the last 2 are the final act. So I read Volume 1, and I'm not going to say I was underwhelming, is not the right word to say. I could just tell that there were great things coming. The way this was all exposition, this is introducing the characters, this is hooking you, this is letting you know things are coming. The pacing was very slow. It actually felt very empty, and I could tell that he was going to fill things up in the story with who knows what. And that's what's really cool about this. In one of the books he does a dedication. He dedicates the book to Alan Moore and Neil Gaiman, and there's this terrifying surrealism there that I think he probably got a little bit from Neil Gaiman, and there's this unpredictability and great characterization there that makes these characters feel like living, breathing people that he kind of got from Alan Moore, but it's all him. I mean, this if it's a comic book, so it's kind of hard not to do comparisons and stuff, right? But this thing is all him. I described it like there's a little touch of The Shining meets a little bit of The Goonies and Stand By Me with just a little dab of The Labyrinth, if I want to compare it to movies, but it's just to me, going back to the 80s. And it just kind of blew me away. So I read the first volume, Welcome to Lovecraft, right? And I've read these in the last couple days. I read one, I think Wednesday, and I read the other one last night till 2 in the morning. But what you got here is that you got 3 kids. Okay, they're siblings, right? Tyler Locke, who's 18, Bode Locke, who is 7, and Kenzie Locke, who is 16, the sister, and their mother, and Dodge. The antagonist's name is Dodge, which is unreal. But what happens is they're living on the West Coast, San Diego, San Francisco, somewhere like that. Their dad's a teacher, and 2 students end up killing him. They come up there and they want something, and it's like 2 teenagers that are just psychotic, and they end up killing the dad, and Tyler ends up killing one of them, and the mother ends up killing one of them, if I remember. And it's kind of brutal, man. There's that horror aspect, okay? And it's kind of like they're dealing with this, right? So they pack up and they move, and their dad has always wanted them to go to Lovecraft, Maine. Surprise. Stephen King has all his books in Maine, and apparently this is where this is going to take place, if I remember right. Forgive me if I'm wrong. But anyway, So they go over there, and all of a sudden Bode, the little kid, starts finding a key that turns him into a ghost, and you start realizing that this great big huge manor, Locke House, you know, we're in for some stuff. And there's a little girl living in a well, and there's things going on with the characters, right? So while all this is going on with the little kid, and you know something's coming, and we're getting a little bit of a horror story here and stuff, you're just drawn in because these characters living and breathing. They're all screwed up over what happened to Dad. Tyler's screwed up over what he had to do, and he feels like he's the man of the house. Mom is drinking. They're moving into this whole new place. He writes the teenage girl the way that, you know, when I worked in schools for 5 years, you know, how I kind of heard girls talk and stuff. If I did have to give a criticism on the characterization, I don't even consider it a criticism. It's more like it's more like I wouldn't have done it that way, so that doesn't count. It's not my story, but just the way he writes. Joe Hill wrote Bode, and you know, the way he writes little kids and stuff. It kind of took me out of the story a little bit, but somebody's got to get the plot going and stuff. And the other thing is that there's this theme here that I think I'm picking up. You know, sometimes in a dream, a cigar is just a cigar. Look that up if you don't know what it means. But I think it's also about the keys and the locks that go through this thing. It's about it's like the Doors, man. Okay, the Doors picked their name because there was a poem or a book Morrison read that it talked about unlocking the doors of the mind and stepping through and expanding things and stuff. And that's kind of what this is. This is about, you know, everything you had just got took away from you. Now you got to unlock things in yourself and deal with things, and you're unlocking things about yourself and in your mind and things, right? It's all about self-discovery and redemption. There's little subtle themes going through there, man. This book is self-contained. It's a whole world, and it's not superheroes at all. Okay, it's not superheroes, man. It's like it's what I'm getting at. This thing is fresh. This is just, like I said, it's won Eisner Awards. It's just fantastic. It really blew me away because when I read the first volume as exposition, I thought that the first issue was a mess, and then as you go along, Joe Hill writes this thing in a way where you're not only are you the characters seeing this house and discovering the keys and what the keys can do and the sinister feel about the house and everything like that, you're with them, but you're also getting to know them as living people. You know, Tyler, the thing that made Tyler click for me, the oldest sibling, was that he's a history buff. Well, later on that would happen. So the happy accident that I did to get this out of the way is, you know, I read volume 1. He built up to a very terrifying moment that just had you going, oh shit, you know, which I don't want to ruin because you'll know it when you see it. And then I was like, okay, I'll wait and read volume 2, 3, and 4 later on. I'm a patient guy, you know me, you know, I'll look for them now. But this story kept haunting me. I couldn't happen, so I turned into that guy who, you know, gets a mystery novel and he turns to the last page because I jumped right up to issue 5 and 6, volume 5. Number 6 is the last one. So I got the Clockworks, right? And it was amazing to see where volume 1 was, how I knew there was emerging characters, and it was just sort of, you were just kind of getting a taste of what was to come and everything, and you know, it just kind of got you, it started haunting me. You know, the story started being on my mind while I was driving, and I started reading some Cerebus and some other books I got from Here Is Con, and I would just slowly turn and look at that stack of these 2 books, and I finally did it. And I think it was a happy accident. I mean, I'm sure I'm missing out on the story by not reading it in order, but to go from volume 1 to volume 5, see all these great things that he's done and how the story progressed, and how we're figuring out the history of these locks and who Dodge really is and what he is that's possessed him, and how these locks and keys were made, and the Lovecraftian flavor in this, man, is just fantastic. I mean, Joe Hill, that's one of the most obvious things in there. I was really lucky because it was like I was watching Labyrinth for the first time as a kid and seeing this great world and all this stuff, and I was like, wow, it just wet my whistle, and I could not put it down. It was the first time in forever anything has grabbed me like that to where I could not put it down, and I read the thing straight through. Took a break to talk on the phone and you know, do a few messages, and that was it. And I looked up and it was like, you know, pretty late at night. So I highly recommend the Locke and Key because I'm hooked. I think this is the best thing that's been out. It's starting to rain, so we're going to end this. But check out Locke and Key, and I'll definitely will be talking about it later again. Okay, later guys.